A lot of you are not quite sure what peer-reviewed scholarly articles are or where to find them. So I wanted to do a quick instructional video. If you do know, you don't have to view this video. You can feel free to skip it. But if you don't, this is how you start with lib.colostate.edu. That will bring you to our library homepage. We have a very thorough library at CSU. It's one of the top in the nation. So it is a resource that you pay for as a student, but also something that you won't get access to after you graduate. And a lot of times we want to open these articles that we find, and they want you to pay $30 to $200 per article, depending on the journal. So it really is a great resource, and it really shows you exactly how you can earn money by publishing articles on this research that you have access to, because a lot of people don't have access to it. So by reading what's happening and sharing it with others, that's something that not everyone can do. So to begin, I go to A to Z database list. And this just pulls up the top ones. Academic Search Premier is great, Google Scholar is great, and Web of Science. Web of Science and Academic Search Premier are pretty similar in that they have the Boolean search terms. And that just means it's different from Google. You can't just type in a sentence and it's going to find it. So sometimes this takes a little bit of playing around with, and sometimes I can't even find what I'm looking for, so I ask the librarian. And then they can find it. So you can email or you can chat with them live. You can call them. They are very, very helpful. That's what they're there for. But if you think about just starting one, I research educational psychology is one of my topics that I'm very interested in. And so see, there are just tons of results, 181,000. But remember that we want to do the most up-to-date research. So we'll come over here to this publication date and change it. And I'll go all the way to 2017 and see. And so now, even still, there's just tons that I could look at to go into. So it really shows you that a broad topic is going to be good for finding things that are really interesting to you. So, I don't look at preschool. I would look at college level, university. You can try different terms too and see if that changes. But so it does pick up higher education within this. So then you can kind of scroll through, that all of these are going to be something recently published. They're all going to have that 2017, 2018 date. And then just kind of go through and see what's interesting to you. So the way you'll know that they are peer reviewed is you can go through, this is kind of what they'll look like if you pull one up. They'll have that DOI, they'll have this distance education. Routledge, Taylor and Francis is the database group. Here's another one where they have different database, different journal, but they do have that DOI here. So you can kind of see they'll have an abstract. And then sometimes if it's not exactly what you're looking for, it gives you these search terms that you can use and plug those into your Boolean search, and that can be really helpful too. But see how it's more academic, there's methods, there's methodology, research. It's not a magazine article, it's not a newspaper article. These are all submitted by people who are experts within their field, and they're peer reviewed by 2, 3, 5, sometimes 5 other experts in the field before they're published. And so that's how they kind of do their checks and balances to make sure that the research was done correctly. There weren't any biased opinions or influences in the situation. They look at who funded it. They look at the statistics behind it, the number of participants. They make the authors really be clear about all of their methods, their data, their collection process, to ensure that then when it is published, people can take all of that into consideration and really understand what's happening in the field at the time. Because these are all experts in the field, though, there's a lot of jargon. They can be difficult to read. And you should pick something that you are hoping to be an expert in, or something that's really familiar to you, so that you understand it as best you can, and then you kind of explain it to others in a way that is more not acceptable, but more understandable to people who are not experts in the field. So really taking that jargon out and explaining the purpose of this article in a different way for a different audience, because these are definitely for academic audiences. So that's the purpose of the assignment, is to really be able to translate your science for others, to help them see it in a new way. Another thing, when you were looking through here, if it says find it at CSU, you'll want to click on that to get the article. Sometimes it can be a little bit daunting once you find it, and then it's still great to ask the librarian if you're having trouble, but you might have to sign in a few times. Once you find it, you might have trouble saying, okay, well, where is it? I'm not quite sure. So really making sure that you can either email me or email some of the librarians to make sure that you can access. I think that this one says no full text available. So that's something that I would email them about, especially because it says find it at CSU. We'll try this one. So you can see the full text available here. And so you just want to click on the link, and it will pull up the article for you. So then you'll be able to check it out, get it in PDF, save it. You don't need to read these thoroughly at this time. If you know that you can read the abstract and know if it's going to be something that works for you or not. After you submit the proposal and get an okay, then you want to go back and read it more thoroughly. The other option is Scholar, Google Scholar. And this is a little more lenient with the search term, so you can find a lot of stuff. And if you click over here since 2017, you'll make sure to also get those narrowed down. So anything that has a PDF or HTML link over here, you're going to have access to. This one, Making Learning Meaningful, is not something we have access to, but if it's something that you really want, copy the citation and email it, text it to the librarian, and see if they can get it for you. That's often something that they can do. Also, know that this is a great way to get citations. The quotes will show it in APA, MLA, and those are the two formats that we will use. You can use either one that you're most comfortable with, as long as you're consistent throughout. So I hope this was helpful in researching peer-reviewed scholarly articles, but please do feel free to ask any questions as you're going. I know sometimes it can be a bit confusing.